Hello, everyone, and welcome to Session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randy Henderson, and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Welcome everyone to meeting number 5 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle in our reading of Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present by Harriet Washington. I'll be your moderator tonight. Georgette Moses is my name, and I'll ask each one of our members tonight to go around and introduce themselves. Let us start with Mr. Joel.
Hey, how you doing? I'm calling in from Charleston, South Carolina. Most people call me JJ. Just glad to be here. God bless. God bless.
Thank you, Joel. And Venita?
Hi, my name is Rita Walker, and I'm joining you from Connecticut. Welcome. And God bless, Joel.
Thank you, Venita. And last but not least, Michelle.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Odom. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm happy to be here. This session runs until June 9th, and anyone that still wants to join in, please do so.
Excuse me, chapter 4, the surgical theater. In this chapter, Harriet Washington explores in detail the reason why African Americans justly saw hospitals and medical schools as places of terror, violence, and shame, and not of medical care. Black bodies was considered clinical material with neither legal rights to control their most intimate bodily functions, avoid degrading public displays, or seek redress for being ill-used or murdered at the hands of medical professionals and their students. These physicians practice invasive and surgical procedures on interned slaves and free African Americans to explore new techniques, display their surgical skills or lack thereof, and boost their reputation among their peers. Washington notes that there were a few voices in protest to these abuses. The black physicians James McCune Smith and W. Montague Cobb regularly defended the human rights of African Americans. In 1894, Rudolph Matus, MD, published a 125-page surgical analysis exposing the faulty logic of the scientific racism that allowed the use of treatments devised, adopted, or rejected based on black bodies for their white patients. The availability of black bodies, poor bodies, and other desperate souls as clinical material could make or break these medical establishments, and were essential in meeting their students' enrollment goals. It was all about training, never the healing.
Okay, Venita, can I get you to read section A and the first question?
Sure. Against his will, Sam's story. In 1838, Sam was 42-year-old slave on an Alabama plantation. He suffered from jaw pain so severe that he could not sleep and became physically and emotionally debilitated. What would cause Sam to endure this type of pain and suffering for years? His master used his brand of scientific racism to diagnose the problem as a case of syphilis and promptly administered a cure that was worse than the cause, preventing Sam from even being able to eat. 7 years, yes, that's 7 years later, Sam's owner sought the help of the infamous Dr. Mariam J. Sims, who diagnosed poor Sam with cancer of the jawbone. His remedy? Surgery, of course. This happened before the common use of effective anesthesia, sterile techniques, or even x-ray machines. Sam was at the mercy of his owner, who was only interested in returning his slave to a more profitable condition. And Dr. Sims, who was itching to get in there and exercise that cancerous mandible. Protesting as much as he dared, Sam ended up strapped from head to thigh in a barber's chair, feeling every second of the 40-minute procedure as Dr. Sims sawed into his face in front of 25 onlookers and students. Dr. Sims got kudos from New Orleans Medical and Surgical Journal for a highly credible achievement. And poor Sam was forever disfigured with his mouth open and a permanent wide grin. That's crazy as hell.
Indeed.
Wow. Okay, question number 1. Thought question, that is. Thinking about Sam's impossible situation, what do you think was worse? His owner's cure that caused what?
Iatrogenic.
Iatrogenic injury, or did Sims' brutal tactics? Did Sam have good reason to be afraid?
Yeah.
Hell to the yeah. These people nothing but butchers. I mean, they didn't, I mean, you know, Jesus.
Could you imagine having a permanent wide grin on your face?
Yeah, that part killed me.
That really,
You know, after doing that, you know, it's like they're sitting around making jokes about it.
Yes.
it's sad. It's very, very sad. It's so funny.
Well,
I'll go to question 2 if someone doesn't have a comment. I'll wait for this. You say something, Joel, JJ?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Question 2. Washington says that today, surgery is the most curative mode of therapy for cancer. How do you feel about this statement, given the holistic achievements and treatments that have been proven effective in many cases? What do you think Washington may support? Why do you think Washington may support this more conventional method of treatment? What do you think, Joel?
Well, I believe that starting in those days, they didn't know anything about holistic approaches. They created a whole entire industry, and today they still have that beast that they must feed. You know, it's more profit in the treatment of cancer than it is in the cure. So anything that would cure it, they shut it down. So, you know, they I think the most effective thing is trying to seek out those natural remedies that the body can heal itself and purify itself. So, butchery, that's all.
I was just telling Michelle a story today about my mother's mother, Miranda Love. And when I was a little girl, she would take me to a spirit shop. I guess that's what you would call it. I must have been about 7 years old, 8 years old. And we would go into this shop where they had dream books, all kinds of roots in jars, shrunken heads. I mean, you name it, it was there. Very small space with a lot of things there. And there was a woman there, older woman, elderly woman actually. And it was frightening to me because I'm 7 years old, and I'll be hiding behind my grandmother's skirt.
What year was this?
Excuse me?
What year was this? Good grief.
This was in the 60s. I grew up in Philadelphia. And I'm sure down south. I know down south.
We ain't got that stuff down here. That's about as country up there as we get.
No, it was a shop that sold, actually, they were into holistic remedies then. As I told you, I think our last meeting, where she would give us rock candy, whiskey, honey, and lemon for congestion. Well, yeah, but don't forget the whiskey. The whiskey was the good part. And because you got it whether you had congestion or not. One person had a cough, everybody got it. That's the way it was. But no, she would take me to the shop. And it was a shop that had all the roots and everything in there, and she would ask for a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And she was from South Carolina, mind you, Joel. She was born in South Carolina.
No, I'm not from here, so I don't know.
Well, you get a lesson about South Carolina, though.
Yeah.
So anyways, it just reminds me of that. And we didn't go to the doctors. I mean, we got our regular checkups, I guess, for our little booster shots, which I found out later that some of them weren't even effective. Because that's another story. But she would give us all kinds of things, and she would make up little concoctions for whatever we may have,
But are you two saying that there are no legitimate reasons for having surgery? Like, I'm thinking of a bullet hole in my chest.
Well, no, Michelle, you got a bullet hole in your chest. You might need to get the bullet out and close it up. But I do find that surgery is a big business today, a very big business. It's so big now that we have robotic surgery, which is very, very popular. And we have actual facilities that just do that. And one is called virtual, where the only thing they do is hip replacements or knee replacements. That's their forte. So in order to keep this hospital open, you're going to have enough folks there to support it.
Yeah.
So if you have to have enough folks to support a whole facility, and that's all they do, you got to still keep them coming in 2015.
Yeah, I was in.
So that just brings me to, like, okay, how many of these surgeries, if that's all they do, are all of them actually needed to relieve that person of pain, or maybe help that person live a more quality life? Or is maybe
are they located in a big city or poor neighborhood?
Actually, I'm not quite sure where all of them are located, because they're all over the country now. But if you look at most hospitals, where are they?
That's true.
Most hospitals are located in the city. A lot of them, most of them I know in my area, two in particular, large hospitals are located in poor areas. I don't know if that's coincidence or what, but that's where they're located. And this brings me back to...
No, Harriet Washington is saying very clearly that's not coincidence.
I'm just the thought for those that might oppose, but they are located in the city. Now, when you have whole facilities now set up to just specialize in one thing, Are you going to tell me, well, you might, but I don't believe it, that necessarily 100% of those 150 surgeries that they give every day in order to maintain that business is actually needed? Well,
No, I'm not going to tell you that, but you know, I suffer from iatrophobia. You know, I got a bad case.
Okay. I forgot, girl.
But I'm just looking narrowly at the specific question about why Washington would, because you know she certainly knows the reasons to fear medicine better than most people. So Georgette's question, you know, is why would Harriet Washington support this conventional method of treatment when she knows more than most of us, you know, what could go wrong in that scenario? I mean, I think, you know, I don't want to give away the whole story, but I've told you all already that throughout the book, she tries to counsel us that things are considerably better than what our ancestors had to deal with in the medical system. And she wants us to be smart consumers, you know, not be afraid of medical care and not be afraid of medical experimentation, but to know how to access it in a way, you know, we're protected or more protected.
Well,
So she does make that kind of comment throughout the book, but in this chapter in particular, one of the last things she says when she's talking about the needs that medical institutions have for warm bodies for their training and practice and you know, learning how to do autopsies and dissections and all of that, that need still exists today in a more subtle form. And the piece that you know, I guess I'm going to give it away, but I really, when we get to the end of the book, want to hear what you all think. But I felt like by the time I got to the end of the book, even though I had heard her trying to caution us, you know, you don't have to be so afraid anymore, I still feel like in the end, the message, that maybe it's my iatrophobia, but the message that I felt came through most strongly throughout this reading is be afraid. Be very afraid.
well, I think you know, I think this is her commentary is more or less like her disclaimer. You understand what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know, I think it's more or less like a disclaimer. She don't want to say, well, don't go to the doctor. You know,
Mhm.
and 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 you know, no matter what we think or what we do have uh, you know, Western medicine and the culture of medicine in our DNA, and that's what we believe in. We cannot unring. It's impossible for us to unring that bell. You know what I mean? We're not going to go in the back if we get sick and pull a twig off the tree. Yes, that's not. We're going to go and pop an aspirin. That's our first thought. You know what I mean? That we're not going to trust the Eastern or holistic medicine, in my opinion, in that way. You know, and I think she may say that. You know, I don't know that much about her, but she may not know that much about holistic curing herself. You know, and
Mhm.
to trust it that much. You know, she may have not studied it, you know, and until we have the institution set up where, you know, it accepts, uh, you know, insurances accept holistic treatment as a payment, then you're never going to see it, because, you know, one thing they don't want to do is, hey, it's a cash cow. I mean, you know,
Right. They don't want to increase
you know,
their competition.
the run for cancer. You know, it's like, hey, we're raising almost $1 trillion on cancer. You know, it's like, well, you know what? People are getting paid to manage that money. You know what I mean? You know, so, you know, it's just an industry. I remember when you know, we had this guy, you know, say, oh, he's one of the best neurosurgeons. You know, I have a neck and back problems. You know, one of the best neurosurgeons it was. You know, blah 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 blah. Well, I go to this guy and get a couple of injections and everything. Well, is it getting better? No, it's nothing more I can do for you. I want to take a bone out your neck and a bone out your back. Well, hell, I mess around with this fool, I'd be 5'5". I mean, I was like 42 years old. I'm like, shit. I mean, what am I gonna do after that? You know, I mean, what can you do for me after that? That don't work. You know, give me a side bag and a wheelchair. I mean, you know. The only thing they know about doing is cutting. I ain't go to this. I'll be like, you know, never mind. But that's what he gets paid to do.
Yeah.
He gets paid. You know, these surgeons, these specialists. You know, it's amazing to me how that they, you know, how you look at a regular general practitioner. You know, like, don't forget that this guy studied almost 10, 11 years to be a doctor, but they look at him like, oh, he's just a general practitioner. He's a damn doctor. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, unless you're a specialist, they don't even like, you know, I mean, the MD don't mean anything. That's BS. You know what I mean? He knows how to cure you, because he's trying to cure you he's telling you things that you need to know. Watch your diet, you know, cholesterol and all this other kind of stuff. No, they want to get you with some insurance where, you know, you can have a heart attack and you can go down here to the plant where they got the, you know, take the fluid out you call dialysis and everything. They want that. That's. Well,
yeah, and then, you know, the whole pharmaceutical piece, you know, they want to get you on these medications, and there's never a discussion of what's the plan for getting off. Because there ain't no plan for getting off.
Yeah, that's a plan.
That's right.
The plan for getting off, you know, is the last stop. That's the plan.
And then we'll see you on our dissection table.
Yeah. Right. Donate your body to science.
Yeah, you know, we're going to see you.